This is Story Robot. Welcome to r/pettyrevenge. Our first story of today is, I don't think my neighbor would let her dog poop on my porch again. Okay, so I have been living in this house for 2 years and the neighborhood is very quiet and safe, so I don't have something to complain about, except for the little bastard that my neighbor just got. Apparently, his designated place to poop is right in my porch and I wouldn't care if just the owner was a little considered and cleaned after her dog finished. When I first started noticing the poop I cleaned it thinking it was a stray dog or something, but then, one day I was on the porch myself and the little bastard came out of my neighbor's house, saw me and returned. My neighbor must have noticed that her dog returned too fast, so she went out of her house to check what had scared the dog, and there I was. We made eye contact and I nodded. I had a feeling, so I remained sat in my porch for a little more. And there she was, peeking through the wall to see if I was gone to let the little bastard poop on my porch. After some time, she finally gave up and put a leash on the dog to take him to poop somewhere else. By the way, she didn't carry anything to clean whatever his dog produced, so yeah, she is a disgusting person. I was pissed. Not only she was aware of what the dog was doing, but she was waiting for an opportunity to let him do it again. I wanted to talk with her to see if we can resolve this, but apparently, communication wasn't going to work in this case, so I decided I would scare her a little bit. I was going to ask her politely, but the landlord have already done that a few times and this woman just brushed it off. My BF got to my house just at the time that my neighbor was unpacking some stuff from her car on the other side of the parking lot, which is divided by a wall. Making sure she was able to listen to me, I started telling my BF that I have seen a dog in my porch several times and that it didn't have a collar, so I believed that he must be stray, and I had decided that I should eat the dog since it was culturally accepted in my country to eat them if they don't have an owner. I then described graphically which method of preparation I should use and what ingredients I needed to add. I said that all I needed was to wait for the dog to appear to lure him in my house and start cooking him. I couldn't see my neighbor's face, but I would have loved to see it, plus I don't see her dog around anymore. Our second story of today is, prankster workmate doesn't like it when the joke is on him. Years ago, when I was a youngster just starting to make my way in the adult world, I took a job at a machine shop. Since I was the new guy and a lot younger than the rest of the crew, I had to put up with a lot of practical jokes as a type of initiation hazing. It was all in good fun, mostly, so I went along with the jokes knowing that the guys would give it up after a while. I was right, and after a few weeks when the others realized that I was a decent sort and they could rely on me to hold up my end of the work, they eased up on the teasing. All of them, that is, except for one guy. He was the shop beephole and resident troublemaker, and while most people got along with him, no one really liked him. This fellow was bald as an egg without a single hair on his head, and because we were an intellectual group he was given the nickname, Baldy. When the rest of the fellows quit their teasing of me, Baldy doubled his efforts and his pranks took on a mean-spirited quality. Tools I needed would go missing, or he would accidentally bump the emergency stop on machines I operated, causing me to have to reset and reload the job. It got to the point that his harassment was degrading the quality of my work, and every time I called him on it he just told me to do something about it, trying to provoke a confrontation. So, I did something about it. I figured the best way to deal with this guy was to turn the tables on him, give him a taste of his own medicine and make him look foolish in front of the other employees. This was an industrial setting, so everyone wore the usual protective gear. Hard hats, gloves, safety glasses, the works. At break times, Baldy was in the habit of putting his gear in his toolbox, topping the pile with his upside-down hard hat. When we broke for lunch I filed out to the break room with the rest of the crew, then doubled back into the shop through another door. I went straight to Baldy's workstation and filled the bottom of his white hard hat with at least an inch of a similarly colored half and half coffee creamer. I double-checked that a casual glance at the hat wouldn't raise suspicions, then rejoined my fellows and had a very nice lunch. Break time was over, we all went back to the shop. I hid around a corner, giggling as Baldy geared up to start work. He picked up his hard hat and plopped it on his head. As he did so, all that half and half ran down over his safety glasses and over his face in thick, sticky streams of goo, making him look like the guest of honor at a bukkake party. He stood there sputtering and cursing at the top of his lungs while the rest of the crew gathered around him laughing and shouting encouragement. Baldy always hated me after that, but never messed with me again. And no one called him Baldy anymore either. He'd always hated that nickname, but I think he would have readily gone back to it if he could, because his new nickname among the crew was Munashot. Our third and last story of today is, you leave me a bathrobe, I leave you a towel. In college, I went through a phase where I hated the color pink and refused to include it in my wardrobe. I didn't begrudge other people their right to wear pink. I was simply not, and I'm still not, a girly girl, and I was sick of everything marketed to women being this color. Toys to play with? Buy it in the pink aisle. Cute little kid outfits? Pink. Then, as an adult, kickboxing gloves? Pink. Earmuffs for the gun range? pink. But I digress. The point was, I didn't like pink, and many people knew this about me. I lived in an all-girls dorm through college. One day after showering, I reached out to grab my light blue bathrobe with yellow stars. What I found instead was a garish, gaudy, hideously bright hot pink bathrobe left in place of mine. I stared at the monstrosity, considering my options. Option 1 was to wear the robe, but there was a catch. Certainly, there would be cameras waiting for me outside the bathroom. I could stomach wearing the robe, dry as dry, right, but I refused to give anyone the satisfaction of photo evidence, which would doubtless be passed around among the dorm so many could laugh at my expense. Option 2 was to go out naked. Same problem, the cameras. Also, I was uncomfortable doing this. That left option 3, the shower curtain. The curtain was not grimy nor mildewy, but yuck. A dorm curtain, who knows how old? I spent a few more minutes deliberating. Then, I did it. I pulled down the bar and slid the curtain off, wrapping it around myself like a toga, shoved the pink abomination into the garbage can, and strutted into the hallway. Camera flashes went off. Someone yelled my full name in a scolding way I haven't heard since I was a kid. Gasps and giggles surrounded me. Later, one person said I looked like a Greek goddess. I had won. Back in my room, I learned the culprits were my good chums Tara and Stacy, names changed to protect the guilty. I vowed to get them back. I just didn't realize my chance would come so soon. Later that evening, I went to use the restroom, and I heard them, in the showers. They were roommates, getting their evening hair wash in and chatting idly. Sure enough, there were their towels and pajamas stacked neatly by the stalls. They had not heard me yet and were completely oblivious to my presence. I stared at the clothes and considered my options. Option 1 was to leave them nothing. Nah, I'm mischievous, but I'm not evil. Therefore I went with option 2, I left exactly one towel. Then, quietly as I could, I gathered up their other towels and clothes, crept from the bathroom, and tossed their belongings back into their dorm room. Now, I may not be evil, but I am still a little devious. That's why I locked their door before I shut it. The squeals and cries of dismay were music to my ears. Tara came out in the towel and went to their room to get Stacy her clothes. Nope, she was locked out. My memory is foggy, but I like to think she yelled my name like a cartoon villain yells the hero's name as he escapes. Ultimately, she then had to go to our raw for the key, wearing nothing but a damp towel. My petty vengeance was complete. Following this incident, an armistice was called, and peace returned to the dorm. Thank you for watching. Error. Problem detected. Not enough subscribers. Please subscribe, like and comment.